Friday.
It is.
Today is November 29th, 2018, and this is episode 220. Yes, 220 of the Crushing Iron Triathlon podcast here in year number 3, coming to you every week, Monday and Thursday, consistently and as best we can.
I was just chuckling, man. We're just sitting there, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock on the dot.
Every Monday, Thursday. We just crank it out.
Crank it out, even in the cold doldrums of winter.
It is gray. It's a gray blanket, man.
It's gray,
it's a double
and
gray blanket.
Yeah, it's kind of gross, but and it like got me thinking the other day. I think it was yesterday. I was kind of going back and forth with an athlete that I work with, and it's just like that's like there's just. I know we're not going to spend the entire podcast talking about it today, but just I think one of the other like greatest struggles that athletes deal with this time of year is the effect that isolation and loneliness have on our psyches, like our emotions and our mental, kind of way of life that also can turn motivation up or down. Because in the summertime or in the spring when it's warm, you've got all these opportunities to be outside, to go to the pool, to be outside, to bike outside, to run outside. Not only does like the vitamin D and the sunshine and just getting out and about make you feel better and more alive and more energized, but you're more apt to get like a big group of people to do things with. Most cities and places where people live have local clubs or teams or whatever where they do things. We do our camps, but then in the winter it's like I'm gonna pass. You want to go run? I'm good. It's just hard to find time with the constricted daylight, and then other people's motivation is like low. And so I think that's like one of the other difficult times about this year. And like you said, it's just so gray and gross. People just they gravitate towards being inside, which just causes even more of a disconnect with other people, which other people always, as long as they're good people, most people are, lead to energizing you more and, like we say, filling your cup versus, taking it away.
Yeah. I was thinking about isolation too. It's kind of, I don't know if it's ironic or what it would be, but a lot of, like, I got into this sport because I was trying to break out of something and trying to get involved and do something and change my life and change the way I just exist. And so you get into it and you get it, you want to get into a sport that has a lot of people around it, and then all of a sudden it sort of becomes 180s and then sort of drives you into that isolation, which is almost more comfortable for me a lot of times. And it's kind of a tricky spot, Mm-hmm. It kind of brings you back around to this idea that, hey, I am more comfortable in isolation. I'm going to go out and run, 12 miles and just be by myself. And so there's kind of a tug, like something that you might actually want, but you kind of have to keep forcing yourself back into that group mentality, and I think it's good for you.
Yeah, I don't think you have to, I think it's definitely some connection is good, but like you said, like there's also nothing wrong with, if you're in a good spot doing a lot of these things to disconnect,
right?
And take time for yourself. I always kind of feel that way after like we have a camp. Like I think one of the reasons I'm so exhausted is I just need to nurture. I think we all, even if you're like a real, like if you're whether you're a huge extrovert or a huge introvert, every once in a while the opposite kind of needs to be nurtured. I think and kind of massaged a little bit. And after camps, like when I have to be major extrovert, I always tend to like retreat and take a little time to kind of energize myself back, to the introvert side of me, which I think I kind of go back and forth. I like solitude, but solitude is totally different than isolation. In my opinion.
Yeah,
going for runs and stuff like that by yourself, I think is just a great way to connect with yourself.
Yeah, it's the only way.
It is, and if you're using it for that, it's because there's just so many, like we've talked about before, like there's just so many ways to like always be tethered. Like we live in a constant a state of just being tethered to a device or to a person or to something. Like you're just like you'll rarely ever see like a person leave their house or get on the trail or hop on their bike without some kind of device that not just tells them what they're doing or how their workout was, but is telling them what to do during their workout, or they're staring at it every other minute, or you get a text notification through your smart device and then through your music, and it's just like it's really just hard, if not impossible, to connect with yourself and like listen to your breath. And that was one of the things that I like will always be grateful for in Kansas City and I just kind of gave up music when I ran, was just like hopping out and like, because there's just like nobody on the trail right now. It's on the Greenway, like close to our house. I mean, there's a few, but it's just like there's nobody. So like you can, no earphones. I don't even take my phone with me, which I'm sure Allie, if you're listening, I'm sorry, babe, but she hates it. I don't take my phone with me in case something happens. But I don't like. I would rather not be touched or communicated with or connected with. And it's so funny because people always talk about like, I think everyone tends to solve the world's problems while swimming.
Yeah.
I think everybody's like,
we're in the shower.
We're in the shower. It's like nobody can touch you, nobody can talk to you. It's silent, and that's another reason why I love the pool, because I think just it cancels out obviously a lot of the noise, and then you have to be disconnected. Now, obviously, there are some people who use like the swim P3s and stuff like that, but like it's silence, and I think it's just so underrated, that part of it. If you use it for that, to kind of refuel yourself and think through things and feel certain things. That's one of the things I love about swimming it is solitude for just you and the black line and your thoughts and thinking through things. And you can always find yourself kind of like with the reading the book analogy we always give is you can start thinking of something and all of a sudden you're like, I have no idea how far I've gone. It could be like a 200, it could be like an 800. You just start thinking and you just kind of go. But I think doing that is obviously proven to be healthy in general. But it's a difficult balance between, solitude and isolation, connecting and disconnecting. And I think as long as you're focusing on what's going to bring the most value into my life today, what do I feel like I need most? Because some people need, I think, a disconnect, like from other people, to connect with themselves. And then at the same time, I think some athletes who are forced to, let's be honest, some athletes just like to train alone. I'm one of them. I just like to train alone. I like to do my own thing on my own schedule. Some athletes do it because that's their personality. Some athletes do it just because that's the nature of their life. They got to get up at 4 a.m., get it out of the way, or at night. But sometimes they just need to be around other people to help energize them. And then the same can be said for athletes who tend to gravitate towards only doing or wanting to do group things all the time, 24/7. It's good, but then at some point too, you have to remember, you have to take care of yourself. And because a lot of times what can get lost in those group sessions or group atmospheres is you tend to shift your focus towards what's best for you and into how do I look within the group. And those are oftentimes two totally separate things.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're both scary in their own way, kind of. It's like, the thing about exercising alone or being alone, it can be scary because I think that's when you really, we all want to find out who we are, who we really are. I mean, we wanted to kind of define that. And when you're alone or when you're, in peaceful running or whatever, you're with yourself. And that's the truest perspective of who you are. And when you're, that's the thing. I think about that all the time when I'm running with, I was thinking about the other day when I was running with music, because it definitely pumps me up and something about it gets you going a little bit and it makes it easier. But I was actually thinking about what I was listening to the other day. And is this a good thing for me? You know what I mean? Like the music, like I listened to a lot of rap and stuff like that. And I was kind of trying to be like, okay, is this kind of like reinforcing the goodness in me or something like that? And So it kind of crossed my mind. But if we're sitting in, like I went to yoga last night, which is a kind of a perfect combination of isolation and being with a group, because you're in, you're kind of,
Yeah.
it just sort of dawned on me that, I'm with people, I'm doing something. So I'm kind of, pushing myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I'm also looking in and breathing in and having my eyes closed a lot. So nobody can be, nobody even has to be there, but they are. So it's sort of this dual comfort kind of thing, which is interesting. Except when I used to go to yoga, and there's this guy who used to sing. The yoga instructor used to sing like Frank Sinatra and stuff. I was like, dude, man, this is really throwing my.
Yeah, this isn't yoga.
Yeah. And speaking, so I was like, I was looking at, because I'm trying to find out when all the classes are, so I can have. I want to get back into my groove, and I was looking at the class list at the Y. And I was just cracking up, dude. There's like the list of these classes are body combat, body pump, grit strength, and dance blast. I was just like, man, what is going on out there? What are these classes even?
That's what everybody goes for. Yeah. I mean, it's just, a lot of it is marketing. I mean, it's.
I know, that's the thing. It's infiltrating our brains, man.
It is, because I was like having this like text convo with an athlete yesterday, asking about training styles and philosophies and what works, and I was like, yeah, so I said this is we were going through them. I said this is a proven method to get faster. It's just not as attractive. Like nobody out there is going to say, hey, everybody can join us for Track Zone 2 Tuesday. It just doesn't sound as appealing, and things have to be flashy, and they have to grab you. So much of life right now in everything that we do, and even within training, is about grabbing your attention. It doesn't necessarily mean you're doing things with intention. Attention grabbing things, and that's marketing. It's everything. It's just, let me grab your attention and then allow you to make like an impulse decision, or just have you gravitate towards something. Doesn't mean that everything is done with intent, or you intend to follow through with things and make them stick, regardless of what kind of like class it is, or lifestyle, or we live in a 30-second world. You got like a few seconds to grab someone's attention. It's like this. I think it's probably shorter than that. Mm-hmm. They do like these online. It's so much is about. But I think now we've become so trained. Like, have you ever watched somebody scroll, not yourself, but ever watched somebody scroll through Facebook?
Yeah.
On the phone.
Oh, with the thumb just.
You're like, how the hell do you even see or read what is going on right now? But that's how we've kind of trained our brains and our mind to live life. Is how fast can I keep my attention grabbed, but how rarely does something ever really grab my attention to where I'm going to actually put some intent into stopping, reading, and then how much about I'm going to read. Like I'd probably guess that like most people that start to read an article that takes like 15 to 20 minutes to read, probably stop after like the second paragraph and then flip all the way down to the bottom and see the conclusion. That's I think is how most people act now, and it's just, I think if you really focus on stuff, or just the awareness of what is grabbing my attention, and why is it grabbing my attention. And I think that goes to right into triathlon and training and to goals or expectations. Is like, what's grabbing my attention today, and why is that really important to me, and is it even important to me, or did I just make it up in my brain and it become an expectation or a hope or a goal because I saw somebody else do it? Because that's like we're about. I think we even touched this on this exact same time last year.
It's possible, yeah.
Like your goals should be yours. Like people do races and sign up for races out of spite sometimes, or because somebody else did it, or obviously you got, fear of missing out. But sometimes it's like I had an athlete again, like text this morning, who got left out of Chattanooga 70.3, and she was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I need something for myself. I was like, that's fine, but don't sign up for anything today or tomorrow, because you're just going to be signing up for it because you didn't get this. It doesn't mean it's right, or feels right. And it's just with how much we allow others to seep into our psyche these days, and now you're going to have like everybody's New Year's resolutions where everybody's going to crush it and then ultimately fail after 3 weeks. You're going to make goals based on somebody else, or races based on somebody else, or just all kinds of things. And so I think it's a really great time of year to, in a way, can reconnect with yourself and figure out for you what's important for you. We've had a lot of really, really good feedback from a podcast a couple times ago, or a couple episodes ago, about maybe deciding to race shorter instead of doing a full. I mean, I had multiple emails, even some of the athletes were like, hey, you know what, you're right, I'm not going to do a full next year. Because as a coach, I have an opinion about what I think is best for you, but like doing an Ironman isn't the end all be all. It doesn't make you a better athlete than somebody who doesn't. So I could care less. But just that they're taking this thought process to a level that is beyond what most athletes think. Because most athletes think, oh, you know what, Arizona went online. Ooh, you know what? Bam, doing it. Arizona next year. Hashtag Ironman Arizona 2019. All in, baby. You're like, wait a minute, why did I even decide that? Instead of, hopefully doing what we suggest sometimes, like, how does it fit in your life? And does it matter to you? Because ultimately, no matter how much you battle with internal or external motivation, one of them's going to run dry. And more than likely, the external motivation is going to always run dry first, because it's always misplaced. Whereas internal motivation with your why, or being in love with just getting better, or the changes you're seeing in your mind and your body and your heart, like, those are what stick, not what Joe Schmo is doing and when he's doing it and why he's doing it.
Mm-hmm. How do you make lasting change? I get sucked into that all the time, too, that hashtag Ironman Arizona thing a little bit. It's just so tempting, because I think if you're not, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying in the beginning, if you don't really sit with yourself and figure out your why and understand what you really want and what's best for you in the long run, you're going to keep like tumbling into these traps. And I've been thinking about that lately, because I threw that out there, and a lot of people actually been saying they've been taking on a run block and everything like that, and it's great, that 100 days of running I was talking about. Mm-hmm. But I realized pretty quickly that it's like, man, I'm just so tight that I got to do something, and that's where I keep thinking about my yoga and stuff like that. And I just need to, because in the long run, this isn't going to get me anywhere. It's sort of like that blasting in your first Ironman, and then I have to step back and look at what I've been doing, and figure out what's best for me. And
yeah,
so, I mean, whenever I get into these phases of my yoga, I start doing more meditation, and that's all about sitting with yourself and really listening and looking inside. And man, that is some deep stuff. If you can get fired up about that, if you can get body or meditation combat or meditation pump going, where it's sort of like you get psyched up about these little things, and when you sit with yourself and you start being like, okay, man, I am not living my true life, or you're not doing the things that you really know at your core are the right things. That's when stuff starts really happening. But it takes patience, It's like everything we talk about all the time, and self-discovery is probably one of the things you got to be most patient with, I think, and most consistent with.
And it's being 100% totally confident in who you are and what you really want, and just not caring if anybody else thinks any different. Because honestly, who does care? Like if you are so concreted in what you're doing and why you're doing it, and you love it, who gives a shit about what anybody else thinks? Like, I know that might sound difficult to some people for a various amount of reasons, but Like what other people think is the version of their own reality. It has literally nothing to do with you. And that can be done with training too. Like training and races, like so many times, like we kind of mentioned, like what do you really want to do? Not what your coach wants you to do. What do you want to do? And why? More importantly, why do you want to do it? Like if you can answer those questions, then I guarantee you you're gonna get up every day and be more purposeful and with intent with everything that you're doing, versus the person who has to throw on their Ironman and Training 2019 shirt every single day. Because sometimes that's the one thing that's going to run out, or it's going to stop. Mm-hmm. Because I can tell you there's a huge difference in athletes that I work with currently and in the past, how people flow right through races than the ones that have these big highs and lows. Usually the biggest thing is how they differ in external and internal motivation, and what's the biggest weighing factor. Obviously, it's also dependent on some other factors, but just choosing what's for you. And I think it's just because we are so tethered all the time. You're always having life and everything try or attempt to. I mean, that's, oh God, I hate like even saying this. Like that's like a thing now. You're a hashtag influencer. Like, no, you're not. I'm sorry, you're just on Instagram doing hashtag. You're not really influencing anybody. Somebody's looking at your post with a selfie while they're probably taking a dump. That's what most people are on Instagram. They're just checking, going to use the toilet. This is that's saying. I'm sorry, saying you're an influencer is totally different than being somebody of influence. But that's just the world that we live in. It's like we get captured into the ever present distraction of other people and what they're doing. And it's just about accessibility, but it also like finding a way to combat it comes with an incredible amount of patience, like you said, and restraint. And just, I think it was Herm Edwards, I think, who's the coach at Arizona State now. He was talking about players are doing things on social media. He's like, just don't press send. Just don't press send. And I think that's so relevant to so many triathletes. It's like, just don't click register. Just don't click register. Or, don't sign up for this or don't commit to this when it's not best for you. And I get it. Like there is always going to be like a happy medium between filling your needs and desires and wants with what's truly honestly best for you. Because honestly, like that's the you could break it down to like, hey, is having this cookie good for me? Well, it's good for my emotional state of being right now, I could tell you that. But is it good for my waistline or my insides? No, I'm gonna say no. So obviously, like there's a give and take on the whole the pleasure and the what you get from certain things. But at some point, you have to make sure that looking out, like it's like as simple as like do no harm. Like just do your best to just not do any harm. Mm-hmm. Like always look out for yourself. It's not selfish, it's healthy. But I think we oftentimes get so lost in making ourselves and what's most important to us a priority and the ultimate thing in which we should base our own progression and our own success on, because we always feel like we have to justify what we're doing to someone else. Whoa, that was a recovery run. Just chill. That 11-minute pace you saw, recovery run. All caps, 38 font, bold, italics, underline, recovery run. I'm not that slow. Recovery run. But when it's like speed session or like track Tuesday and they do like a 1 mile sprint, like there's
a graphic.
I was just feeling it today.
Just feeling it.
Just in the groove, just in the flow. You're like, stop, stop it. No, but that's just that's the world, that we live in how accessible it is, and how you just feel like you have to, like it's. But remember, like, who are you justifying it to? Like, somebody else, somebody me. Like, I had an athlete, this is months and months and months ago, was like, hey, like, that was a crazy fast mile you did, because I hooked up my training to Strava so athletes could see, because they requested it. I don't ever look at it or even do things, but he said, man, that was a crazy fast mile. I looked at it and it was on the treadmill and it was like a 5:20. I was like, yeah, that's not accurate. I was on the treadmill. It's way off. But I just never touch it because I don't care. And like, I have other runs that are like 13, 14-minute miles because the treadmill's way off or something like that. I really just care in general. But we always feel like we have to explain basically everything we do every day. We have to explain it to the world, in out loud, on social media. We just have to explain it all away, when there's just a lot of like confidence, I think, in solitude, back to it, and just being okay and being comfortable knowing that you're doing the right thing for you. And ultimately, that in training and in life, if you can do those things for you, then you're more than likely going to set yourself up for success and lasting success.
Well, I think we got to remember that people are trying to project you're just talking about how people do that. We have to remember that people are doing that, because when we see those things, we have to realize that's one of those like slow drips of like influence into our heads. It's sort of taking a bite out of maybe who we're trying to be or whatever. I was thinking back to, I used to work in the news business, and I remember this time when my boss went to a big news industry conference, and he came back in on Monday, and we had a big meeting, and he sat down with me and he pulled his phone out and he goes, "You know what this is?" And this was like, I don't know, 8 years ago or something like this, and they were on the cutting edge of all this phone marketing, or 7 years ago. He looked at me and he showed me his phone. He goes, "You know what this is?" And I said, "That's your phone." He goes, "No, it's crack." He goes, "That's the thing. Everybody now wants to wake up in the morning and grab their phone the first thing, and they want to start shooting crack into their veins. That's the big discussion out there. So we have to be there when they get up. We have to have something that's going to get their attention, and then, of course, translate into making money for the news station or whatever." And then I was telling you the other day that I was watching this huge marketing influencer guy, social media, internet marketing influencer, and he was talking about, and he said this deadpan with a straight face to somebody he was talking to. He's like, you got to remember that people are planning their weekends around their Instagram photo now. That's what we have to be aware of. And it was like, and I text you immediately, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's just how it is." Like,
it is. That's how it is.
Wait,
people plan their runs and their rides now just so they can stop and take the most perfect Instagram photo and filter it and post it. I'm like, it's not my thing, so I can't fathom it. It's some people's thing, but it's just like, I don't like, who are you doing any of this for?
Well, that's the question. Is it for
who?
Yeah, is it coming from your true self, or is it, I don't know. It's just interesting. And we have to play in those waters, and we kind of laugh about crushing the gram and stuff like that. And sometimes I just don't know how to handle it. If it's not, truly influencing someone to be themselves, I'm not really interested in it, because that's the kind of influence that I would like to portray. It's like, yeah, you go be you, man. Don't worry about what the hell I'm doing.
As you shouldn't. But that's again, like that is, I don't know. There's such a failure in I think our lives, and this goes with training as well, is being okay meeting people where they really are, and not projecting you've got to be this right now. Like we talked about it on, I think last, like maybe Monday's podcast, is like, oh, you can't do 12 hours this week? I'm signing up for 20. Bring it. I registered for 19 classes this week. I got Z-Swift, Trainer Road, Rouvet. I bought 3 smart trainers just in case 2 of them break. I'm all in. I'm going to crush this winter. I'm like, what happened to just like being okay getting on your bike like once this week when you haven't ridden it for like a month?
Yeah.
Just meet people where they are, and meet yourself where you are. Again, like that is like the most important aspect I can ever get across to any athlete ever. Whether you're self-coach, purchasing a training plan, getting started this time of year after a layoff, or with a coach, it's something like I don't care what you want to do right now. I care what you can do, and what we know you can do. I hope it's less. So show me. Don't tell me what you want to do or you can do. Show me what you got. Show me what you can do. But it's about meeting people where they are. Like, and that goes not just physically with their training, but mentally and emotionally too. Like the do no harm thing goes to coaches too, and athletes who self-coach. Treat yourself with respect. Show yourself some grace, and above all things, like, know that you should be supportive and positive, and force feeding someone is a great way to make them hate something. Like, I think you'll talk to, like, I think it's very common, like, if you see people who work in fast food joints or certain places, like food especially, like they make it all day, every, like, how often do you eat them, man? Like every day, like, I haven't eaten this food in like a month.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're always surrounded by it 24/7. It's like force fed. And then if you try, I don't really want to bike this week. Well, you know what? We're gonna do 4. You're gonna like it. We're gonna make you like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna cause a longer period of staying away, because you have the fear of failure, you have the fear of disappointment, you have a fear of letting your coach down, letting yourself down. Like, that's, again, like, it just goes back to, like, just because somebody else is crushing it right now doesn't mean it's time for you. And that's also like something that's really, really hard to grasp when you have athletes that are either in a funk or have a really, really hard time taking a break. They're so afraid they're going to lose it. They're going to lose their momentum or lose this fitness and never be able to give it back. And Joe Schmo is like, while you're taking a rest, Joe Triathlon's out crushing it. And he's getting faster than you. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't even know who that guy is, but you get the picture. So, like, you just have to be confident in knowing what's best for you at this time. And then also, again, like, just being okay with it, showing yourself some grace, giving yourself some latitude, especially right now, because doing what you want to do is always really important. And doing what you need to do for yourself is always really important. Finding yourself feeling like, I have to do something, is when you start to get to the point to where you're leaning more towards, I don't want to do this anymore, or I don't want to do this thing. And it's just a really delicate balance for athletes to have, and even as a coach, like this time of year, again, like it's just a delicate balance of, nudging you hopefully in the right direction, but at the same time understanding and acknowledging that we might not be ready, or you might not be ready, and that's also okay. And allowing an athlete to understand, like, that's, like, it's okay. Like, I'm not, like, I think I just put in an athlete's training peaks, like, hey, let me know if you want to do anything this week. Like, no pressure, no, just like, hey, let me know. And it's like, oh, I'm really not feeling it. I'm just, like, really, really down right now. I just don't have any motivation. All right, well, just, maybe go find a good place to hike. Get out. Do something that makes you feel good. It doesn't have to be with a goal or a focus because I think what got lost in all of this and what gets lost in ourselves and why we did this in the first place, and you touched on it towards the beginning of the podcast, is like you got into this to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
Make changes in your life as a person, as an athlete, to get healthier. You got in to make changes. So when you wake up every day and you have these expectations or these goals each and every day that you expect to hit, you're not working on changing yourself. You're just working on meeting an expectation that you thought, or that you saw on somebody else's Instagram wall, or that you saw on somebody's Facebook feed, or that you saw on somebody's Strava feed. You're forgetting why we do this in the first place, because doing these sessions and training and racing and surrounding yourself with people or running alone, like, it's how we become better. Like, yeah, I think we do become better people in general, but it changes you as a person to do these things. So every time you go out and you give yourself an opportunity to do a session, I saw a great quote the other day. It said, your worst training day ever is still better than not training at all. And so many times I think we forget that. And I think that goes on the same with like these expectations that we have. Like, I'm not doing it today because I don't think I'm going to do well. But a 20, 30, 40 minute might just do you good, because it's always going to change you. And I think if you have to get back to allowing yourself to remember why you started doing it in the first place, instead of, it's like the kid who's growing up and all they do is have fun and they love playing the sport just because it makes them feel good. And it gives energy and then all of a sudden they get, they have the parent walk up like, hey, so and so has got the it factor. They could go pro. Free ride scholarship. They're like freaking 12 years old, picking their nose, chasing butterflies, and now it's no longer a sport you love, but it becomes a chore and an expectation and a job, and that's when things change you in a different way. Like it's no longer really filling your cup. You're just like drowning in your own cup, trying to keep the water in so you can meet these expectations of maybe not even your own. Like one of the reasons I stuck on swimming for so long was because my parents wanted me to do it.
Right. And
I absolutely hated it. I hated it. I swam probably at least 2 or 3 more years longer than I wanted to. I hated it. I hated every single minute of going to practice. I hated it. It was doing nothing good to me positive until finally one day, I even talked about this on our very first podcast, I remember exactly where I was. I was at the Concord Road YMCA underneath the bubble. Lisa Richards was my coach, and I was doing kickboard sets, and I was just crying the whole time. I think I was like 14. And she was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I quit." And I walked up my parents, but
you didn't want to be there.
I didn't want to be there anymore. Like I didn't want to go anymore. I got lost in because once you, especially if if you have kids or anybody does like year-round swimming, like once you get to like a 13, 14, 15, it's no longer just about swimming to swim. It's like, oh, could you swim for college, or could you go to nationals, or can you do this and this and this? And I didn't care how good I was, and I was pretty good. I just didn't care anymore. I hated it, and ended up doing something else. But it's just like once things, like, remember that like childlike feeling you have with these sports, and how much fun you have doing something without, like, think about like the random like sport type things you do, like you can go to the beach with friends, you play frisbee, you play badminton, you play some like word game. You can have a blast for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours because you just want to have fun. And you have a good time, versus heaping all these never-ending expectations on yourself about performance when ultimately you're forgetting your own why and what's good for you, and then you're also forgetting that we do this for a hobby to enrich ourselves and change our lives for a positive way, not to meet the the norm of society, which is abnormal.
For the longest time, I've been sort of obsessed with this concept of energy that we have in our bodies. We have an amount of energy inside us that we can use. And when you were talking about swimming, it came to me that if you don't want to be doing something or want to be somewhere, part of your energy is dragging you somewhere else. And you can't freely let go and be in that moment and swim and enjoy it and feel it and be free about it. So part of your energy is not with you. That's why we get tired. I really believe that. It's like if you're going out to do workouts that you don't want to do always, part of yourself is saying, I'm not doing this, and your energy is forcing the other way. So it's going to make it harder, and you're going to be more exhausted. So that's why I always talk about this. When you're in a training cycle, if you've got something going on, the goal is really, for me, is to be at a place when you leave that workout to want to do the next one, to really be looking forward to it and have the energy to go do that and enjoy it and be a part of it and really be in that session and be in the moment. I think back to, and I hear this all the time. It's like my first Ironman. The honest to God, the first thing I felt when I got to that finish line was relief. And it was because, I hear that all the time. What a relief. Oh my God. That has been weighing on me for months and months and months, because there's probably this, doubt in your mind that you can pull it off, A. And B, I think a lot of times, we go into those kind of things, we overextend ourselves and we become burned out and tired, and everything is just forced and we're not ready. You know what I mean? Like I think that I ramped up a little too quick. That's why maybe that podcast about, is this the year for your full, is so relevant, is because if you're not ready and you're not like vested in it and you're not in that moment and really enjoying the whole process, it might not be right. Because you're pushing yourself. And so then you get that point, you're relieved. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, how can I re-jack myself up and get that kind of energy? So you're sort of forcing yourself to have energy with false means and things like that. So I think that's the point of all this, is that you have to really do the things you want to do, enjoy them, really know that it's part of the overall plan about being the best you can be, and moving forward that way. Like I was writing on a post the other day about, because we were talking about negative split at some point, and how I was talking about how I negative split my intervals and try to go fastest at the end of my interval, and then I was trying to go in my second block of intervals, I was trying to make that faster. But I started thinking about how you could negative split your training season, and this is a really kind of in a 12-month cycle, this is kind of still, it's like getting out of bed. Sometimes you don't want to get out of bed and rush to a meeting in 5 minutes, because your head's going to be all jacked up and you're going to be out of sorts, and this isn't going to feel right, and you wish you were still in bed. I mean, this is kind of the getting out of bed phase of the season for a lot of people. It's like, take it slow, man. Just get up and let your body, get into the day. And, if it's, if you don't feel like crushing a workout today, go for a hike, like you said, or whatever the case is. So it's about wanting to do stuff. That's how you get into the moment, and that's how you perform better, I believe. If you don't want to be there, if you don't want to be swimming, you don't want to be kickboarding and crying the whole time. Yeah. Find something you like. You're an adult.
And are you really truly gonna find what you want to do if you're constantly immersing yourself in everything everyone else is doing?
No.
You might get an idea. I think that's totally normal. That actually sounds pretty cool. And then you go down that road of exploring it, and like, yeah, you know what? Maybe that's not the best idea. Maybe that was just my ego talking. Or maybe that was just that desperation, or I was trying to jumpstart my motivation. So I think that's there is that to it. But for the most part, it's just like, why again did I decide to sign up for this? Because I can't remember. Well, if you can't remember, but it's so it's just it's so hard. And I think that's why the thinking in the shower and thinking while you swim. The only thing that's influencing your thoughts and your decisions is you and your experiences and your desires. It's like I totally wish there was like, if I can invent anything, there's like a few things I don't invent, but if I can invent anything, it would be like instead of like a swim P3, it would be like a swimming stenographer. Give me some headphones to like, put, against your brain, because they don't use earphones. They just like, I guess the music like vibrates through your orbital bone or something weird like that. But anyway.
Oh, thought?
But yeah, but could just transcribe and download like my swimming thoughts to the cloud. I'd have to like censor some of them out if I'm swimming hard, but because I just think like you just think clearly. And without interruption and without influence, and then be able to go back and look like, man, like that was, that was like more of a true thought or a true feeling than a influenced desire that might not be as true or as authentic. I think that's probably a better word to use for a lot of this. Is it really being authentic? Like, is that you being your true authentic self, or is it just a training or a racing masquerade based on meeting others' expectations or what you think people want to see or what you think people should want, or that you might lose friends if you don't do this, or I gotta do it, but it's like, why? Remember, like, you don't always have to do it, but you do always, or you should always want to do what's best for you and do it for you. And a lot of times, again, those are going to be 100% totally different.
That's more backup for running without a watch, I think. Mm-hmm. What you're saying is the same kind of thing. It's like when you go out and you're tethered to that pace, or what that workout might look like when you post it. That's not being you. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? It's baby steps. What did you learn today about yourself on that run? That's what I want to know. Not what did you learn about what, you can quote unquote manufacture, but what did you really learn? I mean, like, who are you really today? That's the interesting question. And that's sort of like the baby step of how you become stronger in your own skin.
Mm-hmm.
So
take it for what it's worth, people.
Exactly.
No, I will say that's like,
it is fascinating though.
It is fascinating, and that's like, I know that, like, I totally understand that this podcast is not for everybody. Believe me, we know this. We have some reviews to prove it. Because I think a lot of people like to listen to podcasts where people talk at them.
Get your ass out of bed.
Yeah, and that's just, hopefully, that's not us. And that's some of like the best feedback and the ones that I really think like, man, we are doing it right, is when people say like, you were speaking right to me, or I felt like I was in the room with you and part of the conversation. Like that's, and again, like I understand that some athletes totally desire specific criteria and outline based on data sets, based on performance, based on graphs, for every single podcast I listen to, because that's just how they're wired, and that's perfectly fine. I hope there are podcasts out there to fulfill those needs. But the best compliment that we can get, I think, and I think you'd agree, is like that you feel comfortable, like you're in the room, and that our podcast to a lot of athletes, because we get like an email or a text like every single podcast, like, hey, were you talking about me? Mm-hmm. Or I feel like you were talking straight to me, because like these are all thoughts that either you and I have had, are having as athletes and as coaches, or that we've recently had in conversation with all of the athletes that we work with. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of being, it's hopefully being like the voice of the collective, population of what's really going on, or what people are really thinking. And if it resonates with you, awesome. We've done a good job for today. It's not going to resonate with everybody, but it will at some point. hopefully. And that's, again, why I love the format of our podcast. Even though sometimes, we both lean towards, maybe we should do a little, like, no, it's just, it is the way it is. And so while this, it hasn't been a huge deep dive into all things triathlon, I do think I know it's relevant because I've had this, in more of a nutshell conversation with a few athletes already just this week, and so I know it's relevant to at least someone, and hopefully you've taken a little bit of a nugget out of our conversation today.
Well, look, triathlon should be fun, and the more
that's no secret.
Yeah, I mean it should be, but I think sometimes it can be very hard, and I think the more you look into yourself and the more comfortable you are with yourself, the more you can see the things that triathlon is offering as fun and enjoyable and something you really want to do versus a chore. It's not easy to grow, and I know this personally because that's been sort of a quest of mine for a long time. But I've noticed that because what happens is you have to let go of things, and you've been through that in a major way, right? So that it is one step at a time, literally, about what you're going to do and change. And like I remember I was talking to you a couple of weeks ago about how ridiculous what used to be an obsession of mine was like talk sports radio. And you talk about talking to me or at me or whatever the case may be, but it just dawned on me the other day. And I don't know why it takes me this long to figure these things out sometimes, but I think it's just because you keep going in there for that another shot of dopamine or that little bit of fire me up piece or that annoys me or whatever the case may be. But listening to people who have never played, say, for example, football, drone on and on about how some guy who's worked his whole life to play football and he's an offensive lineman, and how in the world could he be so stupid to miss a block? I mean, it's like it just finally hit me at some point. It's like, man, this is bad for me to be listening to this. It's like, why are they even talking about other people like that?
Yeah,
it's really weird because they go on for like 4 hours and they'll just be like this and that, and how could this coach make that decision? And look, I've been there and I've been deep into that world. And that's what I meant about like how when I'm running with music or something, I've been thinking about more and more what I'm putting into my brain.
Yeah.
Because that kind of stuff is poison for me. I don't know how, because it just riles you up. And all of a sudden you spend your whole day or whole afternoon thinking about what other people are doing. And usually it's people that are out there doing what the hell they want to do, that have done it, that are, I'm sure the people that are actually on the field are a hell of a lot more happier than the people in the studio railing on their decision making. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, just do you.
Just do you.
The club program is really going well. It's really taken off, and I've been talking to a lot of people. If I haven't gotten to you yet, be patient. Getting organized and trying to catch up on a lot of stuff, and set up appointments to talk. And I've had some unbelievable talks, man. I'm
telling you, man, it's just people are awesome.
Yeah, on the phone last night to Australia. It was amazing. Had a great conversation, and learning a lot of things.
Learning some lot of things.
Yeah, go to crushingiron.com and hit the club tab and check it out. It's a really good program. You have access to all our training plans. We'll do a custom 12-week plan leading up to your big race of the year coming up in next year. We're going to have a closed Facebook group for all the club members. You kind of get a lot of the similar benefits as our active athletes get. And then I will be there kind of helping you get started with the program and checking in with you on occasion, and we get to talk on the phone and figure out where you want to go, and hopefully we can get there together.
I like it, man.
Yeah. Other than that, we've got some new items up on the store as well.
Oh, yeah. Check them out.
you have 1 day to secure the 15% discount by using the coupon code podcast at checkout. I've had a lot of orders for new gear. And anything else cooking, man?
That's all I got, man. Again, if you head over to the website crushingiron.com, you can find everything you need to know about all the other great things we do: coaching, camps, swim analysis, the gear, a blog, videos, you name it, we got it. And if you have any additional questions, you can always reach out to Mike, crushingiron@gmail.com, or you can contact me directly, scene26coach@gmail.com.
Sounds good. And one quick question before you go.
Yes, of course.
How come dogs are so afraid of vacuum cleaners? Do you have any idea?
Ours used to be terrified, but she's coming around. She is a little less phased as she's gotten older.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't get Maddie to move off the couch for anything. And the minute I fire that thing up, she just runs outside.
Yeah, there's always that little thing.
I don't know. I'm trying to make her more comfortable. And I want her to be friends because there's actually an attachment that can de-hair her or de-shed her.
Ooh.
So I've been trying to get to that, but it's been 3 years, so I might throw in the towel on that one.
Hey, man, keep working.
All right, buddy.
I'll check you later.
Thanks, man. See ya.